All right, today we are going to add a little bit of color to our giraffe using the warm colors. You are going to take your markers and you are going to not color in. This is a little bit easier. You are going to actually outline the shapes of your giraffe. Using these markers, you want to use this thick side of the marker and just go right next to your Sharpie line that you've drawn with a nice thick line. And I'm going to show you why in a second, because we're going to use some of that ink from the marker to actually blend together to make our giraffe look like he's colored in. And I can use more than one color. If I want, I can use a little bit of yellow next to maybe some of my orange. But I don't have to color in all of that color. I'm just using that thick side of the marker, and you can see how that marker is nice and thick. Okay, all of the colors you're going to use inside the giraffe are going to be using the warm colors. So warm colors are yellow, orange, and red. And then there's this kind of really pretty pink, sort of a raspberry color, and you can use that too. So I'm going to outline all those spots. I already did a little bit of this. I'm going to outline all of my giraffe. I think I'm actually going to outline some of the inside of these spots with that yellow. And if the marker's dried out, please let me know and I will get you another one that works. I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now I've got my giraffe outlined, all of the spots I've outlined with red. I've used yellow for the body and part of the head, and kind of orange for the nose and the ears. And you can choose how you want to do that. Just use the warm colors, yellow, orange, and red. And now you're going to get to do this part. This is kind of like painting. You're going to use some water with a paintbrush, and you're just going to go right next to that color that you used, and it's going to kind of turn to paint. And I'm just using that paintbrush to kind of pull some of that ink in from the marker. You can kind of see it's working pretty well right here. The orange works pretty well because it's a little bit of a darker shade, and I'm only using as much water as I need. If I use too much water, sometimes it gets a little too messy, but I can tell when my paintbrush starts to dry out because I can just see it's not spreading the color around as much. All right, so now I've got that orange part done and it looks really, really pretty. Now I'm gonna rinse out my brush and I'm gonna do the yellow part. And you're gonna kind of keep working. The yellow isn't quite as bright, so it's not going to show up as much, but you still will see it a little bit. I'm just gonna use as much yellow as I can. Sometimes that orange will mix in with it, like right here, and that looks kind of cool too. The thing about the warm colors is they all look nice blended together. Like right here, I used orange and yellow, so those are gonna kind of blend together and make a really pretty orange-yellow color. And then let me show you the spots. Spots are a little bit darker, so those are going to be kind of a pretty pinkish reddish color. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's finished. Some of my orange or my red spots kind of blended in with my body, and that's okay. They can smear a little bit, but when you're finished, you want to make sure that you get all of the colors blended as much as you can, and then raise your hand and I will come get your painting from you. We're going to paint the background next week, so try to keep the background from having any of the warm colors on it. We're going to use the cool colors to paint the background with a different type of paint. And you are finished. Okay, today we are going to create some clouds in our sky with the cool colors. You are going to get this white oil pastel and we are going to make some puffy clouds. So you're going to take your white oil pastel and you are just going to color in and kind of rub it with your finger. You can see it a little bit. It's not super clear, but you can kind of tell where the cloud is on your paper. So I'm just going to add a couple clouds. I'm going to add one on each side of his head just by making kind of spiral lines around, and I'm going to have it go off the edge of my paper a little bit. I'm trying to fill that in, and then if I get these little crummy crumbs, I'm just going to rub those with my finger. So you'll be able to tell where your cloud is and make sure it's a nice solid color. And then we're going to use our paint to paint the cool colors. So we're going to be using green, purple, and blue. I'm going to give you these colors one at a time. We'll kind of rotate around. You're going to dip your brush, and then I want you just to paint kind of around your giraffe. And I'm just going to go slowly around the outside of him with my blue first. Painting. And then when I get to that cloud, it should show up. So I'm going to paint a little bit more on this side. And then I'll give you guys a few minutes with each color. And spread that paint out so it's nice and smooth. Trying to not get the paint on my giraffe because I want my giraffe to stay nice and bright orange. All right. And then when I switch to a different color, you'll use the next cool color. And our pictures are kind of big, so we're going to have to move our pictures so we don't get paint on the table. So I'm just going to use my next cool color, which the next one I have is purple. You might have green, you might have blue, depending on what I give you. You're going to paint in a little bit more with your next color. And you can choose where you want to put these colors. I'm just going to slowly, I want you to see how I slowly go around my giraffe. So I'm going to go slowly around him, kind of pulling the paint just a little bit at a time. I think I'm going to go down here a little bit more. As I'm painting, I'm just paying attention to my arm, where my arm is, what I'm doing with my paintbrush strokes. All right, so now I'm going to overlap a little bit of my blue with my purple, kind of taking my time to go around that. Oops. That looks really pretty when I start to overlap those colors. You can see I'm overlapping it a little bit more. And then I'll show you when I'm finished with the green. All right, so now I've got my green finished and I am all done. I can't see my white oil pastel as much as I liked, so I might wait until this dries, and then next week we might go back over that with white oil pastel again. And when you're completely finished, I want you to make sure that you raise your hand and I will come get your wet painting from you.